Hey, folks, good morning and welcome and a very sincere thank you to all of those out there who have served for our country. And American Veterans Day is an American holiday, of course, but I know we have an international audience. Just showing appreciation in general for those who have fought to protect us. If you guys if we've got some veterans in the audience and you want to share your experience, leave a comment here this morning. And I'm going to change the shout out bar on Afternoon Drive to just vets here in the audience. So appreciate all of you and thank you. And I'm glad that you guys are all part of our little team here. Today I want to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I hate doing this because I feel like it's unfair. If you ever leave a comment or you leave me a comment on Twitter and I make an entire episode in response to you, it does not mean I hate you or I think you're dumb. I just I think you hit a point that I want to bring up, and so I got a comment this morning on Twitter that said along the lines of, I hope this team loses enough to be, you know, to, to get a high draft pick. They are just bad, and I look at what happened last week against the Los Angeles Chargers. Obviously, that was a very poorly played game from the Pittsburgh Steelers' perspective. Even the defense, which was good, I won't say great, is probably still not good enough compared to our preseason expectations for them. This is also a team that just thoroughly dominated the best team in the AFC the week before. They're not bad, they're just very inconsistent. When you look at the last 4 games the Steelers have played, they've lost 3 of them. Against the Cincinnati Bengals and the Green Bay Packers, the Steelers' defense was so bad that it almost did not matter what the offense did; they could not win that game with those games. I mean, that's the level of poor play you got from the Steelers' defense in those 2. And against the Chargers, the Steelers' offense was so bad that it almost did not matter what the defense did; there was no way they could win that game. And the one game in the middle, both units played very well, and they dominated one of the best teams in the AFC. Obviously, being that wildly inconsistent is not a good thing, but it is a lot better thing than just being bad for 2 reasons. One, both sides of the ball, both parts of the game, have shown recently the ability to play at a high level. Steelers defense played at a high level against the Colts and the Chargers. The Steelers offense played at a high level against the Colts, Packers, and Bengals. There's no correlation between those 2 units at practice. I guess there's some motivational correlation in terms of like who said what after the game. Maybe Jalen Ramsey's speech the night before the Colts game really impacted some guys on offense as well as defense. Maybe Mike Tomlin talking about Art and Dan Rooney before the Ireland game really affected people equally on both sides of the ball. But for the most part, they're different people doing different jobs. There's not a lot of correlation between one doing well and the other doing well. So that doesn't mean we should just suddenly expect them to get consistent all the time, but we shouldn't expect them to be bad either. But here's why I think being inconsistent can actually be something of a superpower. First of all, look around the NFL and find me consistent. It doesn't exist. Those Chargers got obliterated by the Washington Commanders earlier this year. The Colts looked like the class of the AFC until they came to Pittsburgh. Right? Every team is inconsistent to some level. And then the second part of this is, if you just get a little bit more consistent, you could be pretty good. Like, I don't really expect to get the Steelers who played the Colts more than 1 or 2 times this year. But you don't need to get all the way there to win most of your games. In fact, there will be some games where one of your units plays pretty poorly and you win anyway because you're playing an equally flawed, inconsistent team. the big point I'm trying to make here is they're not bad. And last year at this time, you all thought they were good, and I did not. And they turned out to be a bit above average. I think the peak potential that the Steelers have shown over the last 4 weeks on each side of if you could get the Colts game all the time, that would be not just a good team, but a very good team. And it's, some of it's matchup dependent, some of it's player availability dependent. I don't really understand why Aaron Rodgers played the way he did. I can't explain that. But when the task at hand is all we need to do is play like we did last week, or all we need to do is play like we did 2 weeks ago, depending on which side of the ball you're on, that's really not that big of a stretch. And it's really not that unusual to see talented but inconsistent teams get more talented as the season goes on, or you get more consistent as the season goes on. This team has a lot of talent on defense that has not even scratched the surface of that talent. And I think that's sort of a separate discussion. I'm just talking about how they have played, not how I thought they could play. But the other part of this is, if you're talking about winning a playoff game as sort of the end judgment of this season, of what makes it a success or a failure, and I'm not saying that because I honestly don't believe it matters. But I know a lot of people are saying it, and I think the team, although not saying it, feels it. Then a team like the Steelers is actually kind of what you want. You can put together one of those good games and get a win. But, the last 3 times the Steelers lost in the playoffs, they were by far the worst team. But the times before that, what happened? They played the Browns, they played the Jaguars, and those were mostly bad teams that put together a good performance to beat a better team. The Steelers are allowed to put the shoe on the other foot here. And I understand frustration with the status quo. I don't think most of it is being particularly educated, being expressed with much education. But I do still think this team, even after that loss, can very easily go win a playoff game. In fact, I don't think we should change. We've known they've been capable of playing. The only thing that changed from that game is that we hadn't seen Aaron Rodgers play that badly. But we should have known in our head, in our mind, in our hearts of hearts that a 41-year-old quarterback is capable of stinging up the joint now and then. It added another wrinkle to the dynamic, but I don't think it really changed the theory of this team much at all. All right, that's my thoughts for this morning. More on Afternoon Drive. Like I said, if you're a vet in the audience, leave us a note, maybe a name or a handle, and maybe a branch of service, and we'll throw it in the shout out for this afternoon. I always love trying to find ways to give back to those who have fought for us. It's something that's very important to me. All right, until next time, thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and enjoy.